Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I thought I would do another mini reviews video, and this is when I go back a couple months and I talk about everything that I talked about in that month and kind of give you my final review, because a lot of things I've either hauled or they're just first impressions, or they may be a review, but it's probably something that I've only had for a week. So this is a way to kind of give you my final thoughts on a lot of products. So we're going back to April, which is 6 months ago, and what I do is I just pull up all the videos that I've done in April, and I was like, my God, I did a lot of videos. I did a lot of hauling too. So we have a lot to talk about. I'm going to try and just kind of breeze through everything in this one video. If not, there could be a part 2. We'll see. In fact, you'll know by the title and the thumbnail of this video if this ends up being 2 parts. But I'm not sure just yet, because I'm just sitting down. I'm just going to start talking, and I'm going to keep an eye on the clock and see how long I talk for. So with that said, if you're interested in hearing my final thoughts on the products that I talked about in April, then just keep on watching. All right, the first product review I did in April was for the new NARS highlighting powders, and I got 3 colors. I got Albatross, Capri, and Fort de France, and I love this formula. It's very, very interesting to me, and the color that I use the most is Fort de France. And you can, actually, I don't know if you can see because it's so reflective, but I have like a huge chunk of it missing right up here. That's how much I've used it, and I love it. It's a very special formula. It's very, very hard in the pan. It's almost like their new eyeshadows. They're very hard in the pan. There isn't a ton of kick up, but the pigmentation payoff is pretty stunning. So I've been loving these highlighters. Admittedly, I don't use Albatross or Capri that much. Albatross is a very, very white, shiny highlight. So this is one I only use when I really, really want a highlight. And then Capri is one that's a little bit lighter and a little bit pinker. And I think this would actually work fine on my skin tone, but I've just been reaching for the Fort de France. So I'm still So I'm still very much enjoying these highlighters. Next, I did a first impressions of Tom Ford's new lip lacquers, and I purchased 6 of them. I only have 5 here right now because one I actually lent to Risa of Risa Does Makeup. She was interested in kind of learning a little bit more about some Tom Ford lip products, so I kind of gave her a little smattering of each, but I ended up giving her the matte finish formula, and I can't remember the name. It was like Undercover, something like that. Anyway, the matte formula for me was way too dry. It doesn't seem to bother her as much, but for me it was way too dry. I never ever reached for it. But the 2 other formulas that he released with these lip lacquers is metallic and vinyl, I think. And the 2 that I wear the most is No Vacancy in vinyl, which is that really bright red. I think you guys have seen me wear this quite a bit since then. And also Copper Chic, which is one of the metallic shades, another color I think you guys have seen me wear quite a bit. So I love these 2 formulas, the metallic and the vinyl, but I was not and am not a fan of the matte formula for these lip lacquers. All right, next up, let's see, Vegas makeup haul 3-way collab. So the Glam Dr. Mona Khan came to visit me, and we met up with Risa and we did a little bit of makeup shopping. So I spoke about the NARS highlighting powders because I bought it when I was with them, and then I also purchased this blush duo from NARS. This is their limited edition, like 413 Bleecker, which is their address in New York City. And I don't use this blush duo very much, but I got it for a very specific reason, because these colors are pretty unusual for a blush, at least for me. This one is very, very pale, and this one is very, very bright. So it's only when I'm looking for one of these shades do I reach for this. But when I am looking for one of these shades, this is one that I reach for. And I'm a huge, huge fan of NARS blushes. So I do still really enjoy this blush duo. And then we did a little damage at the Chanel boutique, and I purchased 2 of the Illusion d'Ombre eyeshadows. These are the cream eyeshadows, and I got Convoy Tease, I think is how it's pronounced. And this one is like a gold shade. I have used this every once in a while, but it definitely didn't make it into my normal rotation. Not that it isn't beautiful, but as you guys know, I have a ton of makeup, but it is very, very beautiful. So that is Convoy Tease. I love the formula of these shadows. So if this is like a shade that you like, it's not that I wouldn't recommend it. It's just something that I haven't personally been reaching for too often. The other one that I purchased is New Moon, and this one I definitely reached for a lot when I first purchased it, and in fact I need to kind of pull it out and remind myself that I have it, because this one is really stunning. It's a very special color. It's also very glittery, so you definitely have to like that. It's so pretty. It's like totally taupey, it's pinky, it's peachy, like it's just a really pretty color. And it's one of those great shadows, like if you want to just touch up your look. So let's say you've been at work all day and then you have to go out to a happy hour or an event or a cocktail party. You could just take this and just kind of like tap it over the center of your lid and you're like ready to go. So New Moon is definitely one of my favorite shades in this formula, and thanks to the Glam Dr. Mona Khan for basically forcing me to get this. She was so shocked that I didn't already have this in my collection. And then I purchased the Burnt Coral Blush from Chanel, which I obviously love because when I came home, I realized I already had that shade and totally forgot. So I have 2 burnt corals that I really need to start using up. I do like this shade a lot. Again, because I have a lot of blush, it's not like I'm going to reach for one consistently. I really try and use all the different products in my collection, but this is a beautiful, beautiful color. And if you like Chanel blushes, you'll love this. It has that Chanel sheen to it. You know how it just looks a little satiny. There's like a few micro glitters in there, but it's nothing too crazy. So I do love these. And then I got a few single eyeshadows from Bobbi Brown. And these single eyeshadows, I think I've talked about this quite a bit. I get along really, really well with the Bobbi Brown single shadows. I don't get along that well with Bobbi Brown's eyeshadows that come in palettes. I don't know what that's about, but I got Camel, which is this shade. I love this shade. I use this as a transition all the time. I just love this shade. It's like a really orangey, warm, mustardy, caramelly color. Love this. So that's Camel. And then I got one of their sparkle shades in Cement, and this is like a topper shade. It's just really beautiful. Again, I get along with their single shadows swimmingly, and this is no exception. This one is really beautiful. And then I picked up one of their Luxe eyeshadows, which you guys know I love, and I got the color High Octane. And this one is like a purpley plum color. And this one is really beautiful too. I have not reached for this one, not for any other reason other than I don't really wear dark purples that much, but it's just such a beautiful, beautiful shadow that I couldn't resist. And I think now that winter is here and like this kind of looks a little bit more holiday party to me, I think this will be coming out and playing. And then I got a little gift I remember from the Bobbi Brown sales associate, and this is one of their Color Crush lipsticks in Ruby. I have not used this shade since I got it. This formula, I kind of have, I don't know, like mixed feelings about. I feel like it goes on really smoothly, but I don't know if it's the packaging or the way that it feels when you first put it on, that I feel like it should be really glossy, but it's actually kind of matte and it eventually starts to dry out my lips a little bit. So I'm not like the biggest fan of this formula. I think what I'm always doing is fighting my expectations for this. I don't know if it's the packaging and I just feel like it's gonna be this like light sheer color. I don't know why, but it's actually pretty pigmented and it's actually pretty matte. So anyway, I haven't reached for this one since I got it. And then next, I remember the Glam Dr. Mona Khan and I headed on over to Neiman Marcus. Tom Ford was having an event and I got my makeup done and I purchased a bunch of stuff. So I got the Tom Ford Eye Kohl Intense in Bruise, which is like this fun purpley color. I use this all the time. I love these pencils. They go onto my waterline. They don't smudge until like the very end of the day, but I find them fairly long lasting. And then I also purchased 2 lip colors. So Devore and Sugar Glider. I was just wearing Sugar Glider, I think yesterday, but I love these colors. They're like a little bit cooler. This one is Sugar Glider. And then Devore, it's still on the cooler side, but it's just a little bit less mauvey. So there's Devore and there's Sugar Glider. Sorry, I tried to remove my swatches, but did a really poor job. I also purchased a Tom Ford Ultra Shine Lip Color in Delectable. I think I may have lent that to Risa as well. I'm not sure, but I can't find it in my drawer right now. Hopefully that will turn up. I do love that formula, and the Delectable color, if I recall, was like kind of pinky. I really liked that one. I really did like that one. So that was definitely a win. And then I also got the cream color for eyes in Spice. It's really just beautiful, and it doesn't look like I've used it at all, but I have used it at least several times. You only have to dip your finger in there just a little bit, and you get the most amazing pigment. Isn't that pretty? So that's Spice. Big fan of this color. So that's what I got during the Vegas makeup haul 3-way collab with Risa and Mona. And then I did a Get Ready With Me, and most of the things in there I've either talked about or will talk about, but I see that I use the Kett Cosmetics powder foundation. I haven't used this powder foundation too much, only because it has a much fuller coverage than I like for normal everyday use. So I haven't really been reaching for this. I also am not the biggest user of powder foundations, but I purchased this because of Tara Babies. It just looks so beautiful on her skin, and I actually really like it on my skin once I get it on. I do look very, very like, you know, flawless, but you know, it has such a matte finish. It is a powder foundation that is just not something I reach for. But if you are interested, I have shades N2 and N3. This one is N2, so it has a little bit of a yellow base in there. And then N3 is like a warmer version of that. So if you're into powder foundations and you like a fuller coverage, you like a matte finish, then these are for you. I think they're wonderful if that's the effect that you're looking for. And then I did 2 videos back to back of the Visieart Theory palettes, Absinthe and Siren. So Absinthe is the one that has the kind of green tinge to it. And here it is. I really like this palette. I have used it quite a bit. I kind of stick with the matte shades over here, and then I'll use this green metallic shade every once in a while. This gold shade I actually don't like at all. It has little flecks of gold in there, and the flecks are actually pretty chunky. And there's quite a bit of fallout, which I know you could probably resolve by using a mixing medium or some sort of glitter glue. But the glitter is just kind of chunky. So I don't, you know, you can actually kind of feel it. It feels gritty. And a couple of them have fallen into my eyes, and it ends up being kind of bothersome. So this one is definitely not one of my favorite shades from Visieart, but all the rest are very, very nice. And then the Siren shade, I actually enjoy a lot. It's a warm toned palette, and this color is especially beautiful to kind of deepen out your outer corner to give it a little bit of dimension. And then these shimmer shades in here will surprise you. Like if you've used the 12 pan Visieart shimmer shadows and you're like, they're not for me, they're a little too subtle, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised by these 3 because they are absolutely amazing. Here are some swatches of them. Look at how beautiful those are. So if you're really into warm tones and you like metallics, this is a great one for you. Oh, and then the NARS Erdem collection. So I got both of the eyeshadow palettes that came out with this collection, and they're beautiful. I really like NARS eyeshadows. The one that I definitely use the most, and I use quite a bit, I remember, for the rest of that month, is the Fleur Fatale. And that's this one that's a little bit more neutral, a little bit more everyday. And the other one that unfortunately I don't reach for very often, which is called Night Garden. This one is very, very dramatic. This color is beautiful. And if you want kind of a simple smoky eye, this could be the palette for you because you've got blue, green, and black and brown to choose from, like depending on what color smoke you want. And this is great for just like a one shadow, like smoky look. So maybe I need to pull this out for holidays. I think this would be a good one for a dramatic eye. I also got 3 of the lipsticks from that collection, and all of these lipsticks were very sheer. And you guys know how much I love like a sheer tinted balm, glossy kind of lip. So I got Voodoo Lily, and I think this is the one that I use the most. This is very cool toned gray kind of mauve, and because it's sheer, it just sort of cools down your lip color. It's really pretty, and talk about comfortable. These are very, very comfortable on the lips. And then I also got Carnal Carnation. I don't wear this quite as much, but again, not for any reason other than I just have a lot of lipsticks. You know what? I think I'm going to pull this back out. I was actually looking for a sheer red the other day and ended up on something else, but this one I really like. And then last but not least, I got Moon Orchid, and this one is pink toned. And this one I like for the same reasons as the Voodoo Lily. It just kind of cools down your natural lip color. So I really love these 3 lipsticks. And then last but not least from that collection, I got both of the blushes. The Loves Me, which is like a bright, punchy, peachy pink color, and it has a little bit of sheen to it. Really beautiful. I wonder if this collection is still available. It was available a lot longer than I thought. I thought I was going to sell it immediately because I thought everything was so beautiful. Of course, I'll link to everything down below in my description box if it is. And then I also purchased Loves Me Not, which is the cooler, lighter blush. And this blush is surprisingly pigmented. I didn't think this was going to show up on my cheek at all, but it really does. It really kind of like warms up your cheek quite a bit. So I'm a big fan of that one. So out of the two, I actually reached for the Loves Me Not a lot more than the Loves Me. It was just so unique. So if this was something you were looking for, it was like this was the only option in my collection. So I love the Loves Me Not blush. And then I did a review of the Kogan Gloss Film Foundation. This is another powder foundation, and this powder foundation was much more up my alley. It has a lighter coverage. It just has a much more natural finish. And this was a foundation that I felt like as the day went on, it just looked more and more natural. Like it kind of just like melded onto my skin. This is a really beautiful powder foundation. And in fact, if I had to choose one powder foundation to go with, I think this would be it. This is really beautiful. All right, so next it looks like I did a live stream. I did my Sephora VIB sale haul unboxing. I haven't done a live stream, I think, since April. And if you guys like them, let me know down below in the comment section if you want me to do more live streams. And if you guys are interested in that, then I will try and figure out a better configuration, because I was just sort of standing at my laptop and I just didn't like the finished video. I mean, I know it's a live stream and it's unedited and everything, but I just didn't really like the picture quality or the lighting or anything. And I think when we're talking about makeup, all of those things are really important. So anyway, let me know. And if you do want live streams, then I will kind of figure out how to stream from my filming camera versus my computer, my like laptop camera. So anyway, back to my Sephora haul. So I'm swinging them around, but I purchased two Surratt Beauty brushes, the cheek brush and the contour brush. I love these both. And I think someone mentioned, I was talking about my favorite brushes in a video after April for sure. I think I did it maybe in July or August. I can't remember. And I didn't mention any Surratt brushes. And that really is just because of my carelessness. I just had these sort of tucked away in a special place because I love them so much, and I just kind of forgot to talk about them. And I don't really use these that often because I do keep them in a special place and I never think to reach for them. Isn't that the stupidest thing? So anyway, I've taken them out and they're now with my other brushes, with all of my other brushes, and I really love them. This is the cheek brush. So I use this a lot for blush, and it is incredibly soft. This is squirrel hair. And it has just the most perfect like egg shape. It is fairly dense, so I don't really reach for this, even though it's squirrel hair. I don't really reach for this when I'm dealing with a very kind of pigmented blush. I will use this for just sort of like regular blushes, ones that aren't overly pigmented, ones that aren't too fair. I'll reach for this brush. And this contour brush is great too. I mean, it's pretty much just a kind of pinched, angled version of this cheek brush. And it's great if you want to do like a little precise contouring. It's wonderful. I also picked up the Tom Ford cheek brush, which is the number 6 brush. I'm glad I did, because again, he has now switched over to synthetics. And at this time, this was undyed goat hair. And I love this brush. I just think it's great. It is very, very dense, and it picks up a lot of product. So I definitely use this either with a very, very light hand, or I use this with very light or hard-pressed blushes. This is my brush that I go to for those. I also picked up the Summer Fridays Jet Lag Mask. I have used that a couple times. It's nice, but it didn't really do that much for my skin. I think my skin is like far too dry for that kind of mask. I think I need something a little bit more heavy duty, but it does feel nice on my skin. And my skin definitely did not have any like negative reactions to it, which is great because I have very sensitive skin. So I have nothing bad to say about this mask, but I just don't use it that often. The Sunday Riley Space Race Kit, that was for my husband. He does think that that's helped a lot. I think he was using it a little bit too much, like all of the mask, the like toner and the oil. So he kind of cut back on that, and it definitely helped. He was having some like acne issues in his like beard area, and it definitely helped with that. The Sunday Riley Influencer Foundation, I returned that. It was really not a good foundation for my skin. It just didn't really work out at all, and I have a whole video of that review in the month of April, if you're interested at all in watching that. And I also purchased the Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation, which I also have a full review on in the month of April. And that foundation was very nice, but I never, ever, ever reach for it. I have foundations that I like a lot more, so it's just not something I reach for, unfortunately, but it is still sitting in my collection. The Fenty Beauty Body Lava, I returned that because it was kind of sticky. I'm trying to remember what it was because I just sort of played with it on my arm and was like, this is not for me. I think I also just didn't really see that much going on. Like, you really had to be in the light, like just kind of sitting indoors, which is normally where I am. I don't know, like I really couldn't see that much of an impact. I think that was my issue with it, and the texture. So I returned that. Surratt Beauty Expressionist Brow Refill. That is very boring to look at, so I'm not even gonna pull it out. But I just got a little refill of Raven because I have a dark brown from Surratt Beauty, and I already had the cartridge that it comes in, and I wanted to try Raven, which is like a black. And so I picked that up, and I've used it a couple times, and it's fine. I really like the Surratt Expressionist Brow formula. It's very waxy, and the point is very, very fine. So it's great if you want to actually kind of like imitate hairs. It's wonderful for that. All right, next I did a video on Decorte, which is a Japanese brand, and they finally released their color makeup line here in the States. So from this makeup haul, I liked all of the products, but I just want to show you the ones that I've actually been reaching for. The cream highlighter, I really like, and this came on a bunch of trips with me after I purchased this. It's just a really beautiful, creamy, kind of like pearlescent highlight. And it just does like the nicest things to your skin. Let me actually put some on right now. You can just pat it on, and it goes over powder products. Of course, I'm not like swiping it back and forth, but it really kind of gives you that, almost like that sweaty kind of like highlight look, which I'm not opposed to. And then one of the cream shadows that I really liked, this is in the color BR 389. Their cream shadows are kind of like a putty. They remind me of the Stila highlighters. So there is BR 389, and this is the one shade that I reached for quite a bit. It's very beautiful. It's very subtle on the eyes. It's like one of those great everyday eye colors that I just love. And it's just super pretty. You know, it just adds a little bit something without looking like you took like 2 hours to do your makeup. And then last but not least from Decorte, I really liked these sheer lipstick lip balms that I got. This one is PK 856. This is like a pinky color. Again, just really beautiful, very feminine color. And then this one is very cool. This one is SP50. And this one's like a clear balm, but it has almost like a highlighty effect. So it's super pretty on the lips, and it's almost like that cream highlighter. It just gives your lips like a little something. So those were the standouts from my Decorte haul. And then next, I talked about 2 eyeshadow palettes that came out from Chanel as part of their Le Beige line. I got Light and Deep, and these were the 5-pan palettes. I returned them because those just did not work out for me. I just didn't think that they were Chanel quality. I felt like I got like an okay eye look out of there, but they just didn't last on my lids, and I didn't know what the deal was. And so I just returned them. I just thought I shouldn't have to like be fighting with Chanel shadows, especially because I usually have very, very good luck with them. So I just returned those. And then next I talked about some La Mer like Soleil products. So I got the bronzing powder, which is this guy. And very quickly upon swatching it, I knew this was not going to be a bronzer for me. It was way, way too light. There was a lot of pink going on. So what I ended up using it for was sort of like a blush bronzer topper area. I just kind of used it to warm up this part of my cheek after, like if I contoured or something with bronzer or with contour, I would just sort of place this right back here because it had like highlighting and blush and everything kind of going on in there. And it actually looked really, really pretty there. I really, really enjoyed this product so long as I didn't think that it was going to be a bronzer for me. So I was happy that I purchased this. And then I got 2 of the lip and cheek glows. And so these were like those giant kind of like chubby sticks. And so I got color Coral Glow, which is this one, nice peach. And then I got Pink Sands, which is a pinker version. And I was using it for both blush and lips for a while, and I decided that I do not like these as a blush because they don't ever set down to like a powder finish, but I really like it on the lips because they're like tinted balms, and they actually smell like La Mer's lip balm. So they were great for the summer, but I really haven't reached for them since then. I probably stopped using these maybe a couple months in. I kind of moved on from them, but they were great on the lips. I just didn't like them on the cheeks. And then next, I talked about these two beauties from Charlotte Tilbury. This is Transform Eyes and this is Exagger-Eyes eyeshadow quads. And I really like them both. The Exagger-Eyes one is the one that I reached for more than the Transform Eyes. It's a little bit more neutral, and I just really loved this top coat here. As you can see, there's like an imprint in there. So I just really loved how like wet looking this top coat looked, and how easy you could get an eye look out of those three shades. Like super, super fast. If ever I was in a rush, I just kept grabbing for this quad. I think I finally moved on from this quad when I got the Chanel Clair Obscure, the 4 neutral one. I kind of moved on from this one, but actually I'm packing for New York right now, so maybe I will throw this in my bag because this is a really beautiful one. So I think I may stop for this particular video right now because I've been talking for quite a while, and I still have my part 2 for my Sephora VIB sale haul. I also have my Inglot and JLo haul that I did, and I got a lot of stuff from there. And then I started with foundation week. So I think I'm going to cut my mini reviews for April short here and make this a part 1. I'll do the part 2 very, very soon for you. Don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in that, or if you're interested in any of my content. Comment down below if you have any questions about these products, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'll see you in my next video.